Hey guys, it's Mr. Sands here, and I'm going to show you how to do an example problem of a GeoGebra transformation that we're going to need to do for this upcoming GeoGebra quiz assignment. First things first is we need to know, how do I get to the GeoGebra program online if you don't know how to do that? Well, we're going to be working with Google Chrome, so I'm going to go ahead and open Google Chrome up. And you got to log into Google Chrome. So I actually have a student account, a test student account that I'm going to do. So I'm going to be looking at it just like you guys are as a student instead of me as the teacher. So you can see exactly the same kind of thing. So we're logged into Google. Fantastic. Next thing, open up a new tab, and we need to go to GeoGebra, GeoGebra.org, GeoGebra.org. When you come to the GeoGebra page, the middle icon right here that says Start GeoGebra is the one that we're going to click. That opens up a new tab, and it says we want to create our own. We're only going to be dealing with the algebra button, or this algebra box right here. Nothing else. So each time we come back to a new GeoGebra worksheet, we're always going to be clicking algebra. This is what I call the blank GeoGebra worksheet. This is where we're always going to start off. The first thing that I like to do is go ahead and close this little calculator area down here. That gives me a lot more space to look at. And then we need to put our grid lines on here. So here is a little menu box. So I click that box. This first one deals with the X and Y axis. Obviously, we want to have those on there so we can use those as references. And the second one looks like a grid. And if you hover over it, it actually says show or hide the grid. So we need to click that. And then we need to click the second one, because this first one is a blank. That's what it defaults to. We don't want these other options. We want a straight, vertical, and horizontal grid. The next thing that we're going to need to do is make our X and Y axes bold so they stand out a little bit more. That one, it's not really tricky. You just have to know where to go. So if we go back into our little menu bar right here, we're going to click this little settings wheel. This is kind of an icon that's universal for settings. So we're going to click this settings wheel. And under the Basic tab, you see there's a couple tabs up here. Under the Basic tab, there's just a little box right here that says under Axes, meaning our X and Y axes. If you click bold, watch what happens. It makes them a little bit darker, and they pop out a little bit more. So we've made our axes bold. We can close that now. And if we want to get rid of this little menu bar, we just click it, and it collapses. So now I've kind of set up my worksheet. The only thing more is if you want to do is if you want to click this little multi-directional arrow and move the graphics, we can click, drag, and move so that my origin is kind of in the middle of my worksheet area as opposed to being on one far side at the bottom, at the top, or the other far side. Kind of nice to have it in the middle. Gives a good round view like you'd be using regular graph paper. Okay, first things first. You're going to be creating the polygon that's on the worksheet. So we're doing an example problem right here, not one that's on there. But if you look at it, it says translate by, in parentheses, and then some numbers. They're kind of stacked on top of each other. Looks a little bit funky. We haven't seen this before. Translate by 4 on top of a 0 inside another parentheses. This is actually the notation for a vector, which is a line that moves a certain direction in terms of X and Y coordinates. So actually what this top number means is this is the change in X values. And this bottom number, that's the change in Y values. So you see that this specific vector is actually going to translate this polygon 4 units to the right and no units up and down. So it's actually just going to be moving this whole shape to the right 4 units. So we can do that through GeoGebra. We could do it mathematically, but it's kind of fun to use a computer program to do the math for us. So the first thing I need to do is recreate this polygon on GeoGebra. So you see I have to put a point at -4, 2. I need to put another point at 2, 2. I need to put another point at 2, 4. And my last point is going to be at 0, 4, and then connect back here, and that will make my polygon. So I do that just by so. Let me go back to GeoGebra. I want to make a polygon. My polygon tool is going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th button, and I click polygon. And this always comes up here. This is basically the directions of what you need to do when you click something. So if you forget, oh, what do I do for that? Just pay attention to the bottom of the screen, and you'll pretty much be able to know what to do. So our first point, I already forgot what it was, but I can quickly check back. -4, 2. -4, 2. -4, 2. Make 1 point there. And then I think our next one was 2, 2. 2 over, 2 up, and then we went up 2. You see, I'm just clicking right on where the grids are, and then I come back. So I just basically connect the dots, make 4 individual dots and connect the shape, and now I've made my polygon. Now I'm asking you to make your original pre-image shape red. This is kind of darkish red, but I want it to be the nice bright red. So that's actually going to be this color right there. So there's our nice rouge red color that's going to really stand out. So I've made my original shape. Awesome. What else do I need to do? Well, I need to make a text box. I need to head my paper. So I'm going to do that by clicking this button right here. I'm going to make a text box. I click, and I need to put my name. I need to put the date. Today is Tuesday the 5th. I'm going to put my class. Let's just say this is for 5th hour class, and this is the GeoGebra quiz. So I've headed my paper. I click OK. There's my text box. All I need to do is just kind of move it up to the right-hand corner, just as I would head my paper on a regular piece of paper. Okay, now let's go back to my shape. I've made my original shape. This is asking me to translate it by a vector of 4 to the right. Well, all of the transformations are going to come from this button right here. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4th button over from the right. If you want to reflect something, you click this. We're not going to be doing reflecting about a point. We're not going to be doing reflecting about a circle. When you need to rotate something, you're going to click this one. When you need to translate by a vector, you do this one. And when you need to dilate from a point, you're going to use this one. So if I click the translate by vector button, what it says is you have to select the object to translate, then the vector. Well, I actually don't have my vector on here right now, so I need to build my vector. Well, how do I build a vector? It's not under point. Line. Here we go. Segment, segment with graph. Here's a vector. So if I click a vector, select a starting point. Any point is fine. I'm just going to pick point C at random here. And then I go over 1, 2, 3, 4. I click right on where 4 points to the right will be. And now I've made my vector. It's calling it vector u. That's just the given name that they get, that it happens to be. And you notice it's the same notation as what appeared on our problem. So there is a method to the madness here. This is showing us that we're moving 4 in the right direction as opposed to the left direction. And we're not moving at all up or down. Okay, so there's our original shape and there's our vector. So now we can actually complete our translation. So we're going to translate by vector, and it says select the object, click the object, select the vector, click the vector. There is my new shape. Now it's kind of overlapping the original, but that's okay. We only shifted over to the right 4 units. We do need to make sure, I'm asking you to color your image, or the shape that has occurred after the transformation has taken place, blue. So our original image is red, our pre-image original shape is red, and now our image after the transformation is blue. That has covered everything that I need to do in GeoGebra for this problem. So now what I need to do is export this file as a PNG file. That's fairly easy to do if you know what the steps are. So we've used this menu. This is kind of a menu within GeoGebra. Now this is another hidden menu right here. So when you click this, you get kind of more commands that come up. We want to what's called export. We want to use a PNG extension. It stands for Portable Network Graphics. It's kind of like a JPEG. It's an image file. So we're going to click PNG. We want to name it a certain way. So I'm going to go ahead and use my name because that's what you're going to use. You're going to use your last name, comma, your first name, and then you're going to put the number of the problem. Well, this was an example problem, so I'm going to put example. And then I click export. And now what that has done is it's exported it right here on the bottom of Chrome. This little bar has popped up. And so if I click on this, I can open that file. And this is my PNG file. Now what I need to do is I need to save this file. And I want to move it to a certain place so where I can access it. For me, you guys probably on the laptops, probably just going to be easiest if you do it in Documents. And if you're naming the file the same way each time, you can always sort the file by letter name, and you're going to see where all of them are. So as long as you name them in the appropriate way that I'm asking you to, it'll be real easy to find your files, especially if you're putting them all in the same place. So let's just go ahead and let's put it in Documents. I've got a lot of stuff in there, but that's fine. We're going to move this file over there. Okay, so the PNG file, it didn't show us, there was no like magic move or anything, but it's there. So I can go ahead and close this because this is just the preview. This is just looking at what I created. Close that. Okay, so I've done the GeoGebra part. I've exported the file. The last piece of the puzzle here is now I need to take that file and I would like to import it to my Google Drive. That way it's not only on this computer, but it's also on my online account. Now I want to do this because let's say maybe the computer's having an issue one day, the battery didn't get charged. If all your files are on that computer, we're kind of stuck. So let's go ahead and put that file on Google Drive. You get to Google Drive, if you go into your Gmail account here, like this is a student Gmail account, you click these boxes and you click Drive. This is what Google Drive looks like. This is the first time that the test student account is going into Google Drive, so it's going to go through all these things. But what I want to do is I want to bring a new file in here. So I click New, and I want to upload a file. Now, if I click in Documents, because that was the place that I saved the file, I have it set up so that the most recent document always floats to the top. And there it is, Sans, Parker, example. That was the problem that I just showed you that we did in GeoGebra. So I'm going to click that and click Open. It's going to work its magic, and after just a couple seconds, it pops up and visually shows me this file has been imported to my Google Drive. Great, that step is done. The last step that I need to do is I need to log in, if I haven't already, log into the Google Classroom for my class period. In this case, we're saying 5th period. So let's go ahead to Google Classroom. And you see here that I'm going to go into 5th period as if I'm the test student, remember, that as if I was going there from a student view. So this is the assignment. If I click on it, if I open the assignment, I don't want to mark it as done yet because I haven't done anything. So I can add something from my Google Drive. Now, since I just saved the file in my Google Drive, this is all, it's great when you're using all the Google products together because they just mesh together really well. Now, I could also attach the file from the original file on the actual laptop, but it's just a lot easier to do it from Google Drive, especially if you happen to be using a different laptop that the battery died one day. So let's go ahead and click Google Drive. Now it's going to show you everything that's in there. Now there's an empty folder that says Classroom, and here's the file that I exported. So I click that and I click Add. Okay, got all those little things out of the way. Now I know that it's added there because it's shown up. Now I don't want to turn it in yet because I need to make sure that I add all of the files. So when you're done, there's going to be 12 different files. It's going to have last name, first name, and then number 1. Last name, first name, number 2. Last name, first name, number 3, etc., etc. Let's go ahead for the sake, and let's say I go ahead and turn it in. One attachment will be submitted for this quiz. What you're going to look for is that multiple attachments are turned in. Really, maybe we could just get in the habit of saying whatever you've done for the day, you should just go ahead and turn it in for the day. Okay, my assignment's been turned in. That means that my work is done for the day. And then what I will do as the teacher in Google Classroom is at the end of the day, I will go back into all the students, anything that they've turned in, I will make sure that verify that it's been received, and then I'll open the assignment back up so you can turn in more attachments the next day. At the completion of the project, you should hopefully have all different PNG files that you've attached from your Google Drive to the Google Classroom. So we're learning not only the math about transformations, we're learning how to do specific transformations using a computer program like GeoGebra, and we're also really brushing up on our computer file saving and sharing and importing and attaching, really kind of basic computer commands that are going to be helpful to us not only now, but really for the rest of your academic career in high school and beyond, and really your just regular professional and personal life, because we're all using your computer so much now. They can hold so much storage. You got to know where your files are. You got to be somewhat organized so you can know, oh, where did I put that one file? Where did I put that one video? You got to be able to access it, because otherwise it's just going to be lost in files and folders, and you're never going to find anything. I hope that helped. You're free to go back and watch this as many times as you need to, or go back over certain parts if you don't want to hear me going on and on and on like I usually do. But I hope this video is giving you some idea as to the steps that you need to do to complete this project and get an A for this assignment. Good luck, guys.